Alright, hello everybody. Today we're here in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 in the Cessna 152. We have a 42 nautical mile flight from November 27 Bradford County to Whiskey Bravo Whiskey, Wyoming Valley. We'll be flying VFR and using pilotage, which is where we use ground references and landmarks to navigate to where we're going. The main landmark we'll be using is the Susquehanna River, so it should be a scenic river run. Should be an awesome flight, so let's hop into the pilot seat and get started. Alright, we're sitting here in the 152 with Monica as always, and this is an awesome freeware airport. Check out the video details if you'd like to download it. So we'll verify that our parking brake is set, all of our switches are off, our circuit breakers are in, mixture to idle, cutoff, throttle to idle, car beats in. The trim is set to take off. Next we'll head down and verify the fuel selector is on. There we go, fuel selector is on. Next, we'll turn on the battery and alternator, check fuel tank left, right. They measure full, which matches what I measured up on the wingtips. Check that the prop is clear, call clear prop. We'll prime it, 1-2 strokes of the primer, mixture into full rich, crack the throttle, feet on the brakes, keys in the ignition. Get the beacon on and crank it over. Alright, we've got a good start. Oil pressure is in the green. We'll adjust the throttle down to 1000 RPMs. Now we can lean the mixture for ground operations. Head down here, we'll get the taxi and the landing light on. Up here, transponder to standby. We'll turn on the avionics for COM 1, COM 2, and we'll also turn on the DME since we'll be dialing in a VOR from Wilkes-Barre-Scranton International Airport. Alright, we don't have an ATIS, so we're going to need to look up the field elevation, which is 730 feet from the sectional, and dial that in to the altimeter. So now the altimeter matches field elevation. We'll look at the window to get the metric equivalent and dial that into the barometer setting on the autopilot. Next, we'll look up the CTAF, which is 123.0, dial that into COM 1. And Wilkes-Barre-Scranton International is in a TIRSA, which is the big gray circle around it. That gives us services like flight following if we choose to participate. It says look up the frequency. That frequency is 120.950. It also is a VOR, which is 111.6 that we'll put into nav1, and then we can head over to the CDI and verify the radial that we're at from the VOR. We won't be using it, but it's nice to have an additional nav source if we need it. Next, we'll get the window closed here and latch that. Bradford County traffic. Cessna 565 Whiskey, taxi from the ramp to runway 23, hold short, Bradford County. Brakes work, that looks good. And we'll continue on our way. The real weather here is miserable currently, so we are running with a preset which is Skyscape that I really like. Has a good amount of clouds and a little bit of wind to deal with. Alright, we're at the hold short line. Elevator up, elevator down, rudder left, rudder right, right aileron down, left aileron down. So flight controls are free and correct. We'll get the mixture into rich. Bring up the throttle to 1700 RPMs for our mag check. There we go. We'll do mag left. Got a good drop. Back to both. Mag right. Good drop. Back to both. Next we'll pull out the carb heat. Good drop for the carb heat. Carb heat back in. Now we'll go to throttle idle. Make sure it doesn't quit. And pull out the carb heat again at throttle idle. Make sure it doesn't quit. That all looks good. We'll get our lights on and make our CTAF call. Bradford County traffic, Cessna 565 Whiskey, departing runway 23. We'll be doing a straight out departure to the south at 3,500 Bradford County. I've never been to Bradford County in real life, but it's not too far away. I'd love to fly here. It looks really scenic. And much like Whiskey Bravo Whiskey, my home field, Bradford County is surrounded by terrain on all sides. Normally I'd like to do a left downwind departure to head towards the Susquehanna River. However, I think it makes more sense for us to do a straight out departure and continue climbing until we get past the mountain. This way, when we finally do double back, we'll be above the mountain and we won't be as constrained by the terrain. We're going to look for Monroeton, which is a small town just west of the field here, and that'll be our visual waypoint for us to turn and continue climbing above the mountain. So we've got a pretty simple VFR flight plan. We are departing from Bradford County, which is an untowered field, and we are going to follow the Susquehanna River to Falls. We've got a nice VFR reporting point, which is Tunkhannock, with Skyhaven 76 November, so that should be easy to see. And you can see we've got a wind farm here, which is the Mahoopany Wind Farm, which will also be a good point. Falls is a nice hairpin turn in the river that I like to use for navigation points, so we're going to make our turn there and then continue following the river south. We've got Wilkes-Barre Scranton International, which is a Class Delta, and we're going to clip their airspace. So we'll be talking to approach, and we will ask for a Class Delta transition to go through the corner of their airspace, which will line us up very nicely for Wyoming Valley Airport. Currently, based on the winds, I expect that Wyoming Valley Airport will be using runway 25. We'll have to listen on CTAP as we get closer. From our direction, it means it makes the most sense for us to enter the upwind for 25, verify the direction via the windsock, cut across the crosswind, get on the downwind, and then do a standard landing for 25. We've got Monroeton just underneath us here. That's the small town I was talking about. So we're going to make our left turn. You can see we're already at 2,200 feet. And as we roll out here, if you look over the left wing, you can see, it's a little hard to see, there's a bit of terrain, almost like a plateau for the mountain, that's just south of the field. So that's why we went further west to get above that elevation. So now we're going to keep on turning. Fly over this elevated terrain here. Should be able to see the field off the left wing once we straighten up. There it is. And the Susquehanna River is straight ahead there. So what's great about this trip is you can't get lost. It's such a continuous landmark that you can follow the river directly to Wyoming Valley. Alright, we've got our heading bug set for our first heading, so we're going to roll onto that. We are on track, so let's sit back and enjoy that awesome flight simulator scenery.
There's a girl in the southeast that looks like her mom. Hear her singing, she thinks she's alone. Calm as the whisper of the pine needle trees, and she'll make any man buckle his knees. Turning down my heart again, she always finds another way in. Hangs her hat on the mirror and hold by the door. Stares out the window and hums at the storm, searching for answers and someone to care. But I was too far away to always be there. Turning down my heart again, she always finds another way in.
Alright, that was an awesome scenic VFR flight. I've done a real-life version of this river run, flying from 7-6 November to Whiskey Bravo Whiskey. Check the video details if you'd like to see what this looks like in real life. So I hope you enjoy realistic general aviation content like this. If you do, be sure to click that like button, leave me a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, as always, for flying along with me, and stay tuned for further flight adventures.